Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back to another episode of Break Room Banter.
It is a hairstylist adjacent podcast where each week
Two friends
who also happen to be hairstylists.
break down our weeks in the break room. I'm your host, Hunter Walden.
And I am your hostess, Erica the Red. Somehow my eyeballs filled with air.
Yep.
They're like squishy.
Yeah. It happens to different parts of the body
Really?
that we have blocked the oxygen and the energy to. Yeah. So as you seal your lips and create this oxygen flow and this balance between the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, we allow the body to settle, and then it just starts opening up all the spaces where it wasn't getting to. It's so interesting because as you begin to breathe more on purpose, you really do see where your knots are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There was a lot of yawns,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of yawning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then there was like in the beginning, which I would assume it's energy stuck. But when we were breathing in the beginning, my body wanted to go. It wanted to unwind, like I felt as I was breathing, it was like I was opening.
And I felt that more.
It's the same, and then towards the end is when I literally felt like I had air in my eyeballs. Like it felt like there was bubbles in them. And I was just kind of like, and that almost unveiled this more like I could have kept going. Like I just was like,
Absolutely.
oh, there's
Now,
more.
see,
If
we were to have a private, I would do more breath with you and then work your body. Like I like to put you on a mat at the end and with you laying down, still breathing. But I start pulling and working the body so that it just kind of releases more. I love the one-on-ones, personal, while I'm there, because it just makes a huge difference because you can feel the energy releasing different parts of your body. I mean, I saw it in you guys.
Well, I'm sure I don't know if you have heard, but like the spinal flow, like when people release that and you see, and they're like laying there, but their spine starts to wave like a wave because it's the energy or something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
I love that because I don't know a whole ton about it, but I mean, I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's just like one of those things where when your own energy is so chaotic, which mine very much is, like I can hear that, I can understand that, but to like take that and connect it, and once you get there, you can grow with it, but it's hard to calm yourself down when your own energy is very chaotic. So that was really wonderful. But I also just kind of wanted to say that like it was almost immediate to me, the way that you do cues. I've taken yoga classes and stuff, even working with like a weightlifting trainer, like cues are really important. And that was really good because there was a couple moments in there where I was like a new burst of energy would kind of come out, and then I had to come back to like, okay, no, breathe. Like, don't let your mind wander, which it does so easily. So just, that was awesome. I wanted to say that, like, you did a really good job. I felt like I was able to stay connected in what we were doing.
It's so interesting. So for me, through this journey of me just figuring out how I guide with the breath, that's why it's important for me to always bring you back to your natural rhythm. Because, I can guide you through these things, but I eventually want you to be able to guide yourself. So I have you come back so that you can feel the difference in when I guide, and then how your rhythm is changing as you come back. So that's just something I've figured out to do.
I love it.
I think something that I picked up on, like doing it in person versus when we did our Zoom call, was I felt very connected with my body, and I could almost feel like a hardened shell that was able to soften. And I've heard people have told me that I'm like a hard shell to crack or whatever. Like
You're like a Cadbury egg.
yeah,
No.
nice and gooey on the inside
Yep.
once you get
Soft
me.
and
But
sweet.
that was the first time I've ever experienced feeling that letting go. It literally felt like
A physical
a
response.
physical Cadbury egg. Like it started in my shoulders, and then I could just feel myself release. And you don't have to have this guard up.
Right. What was interesting for me is going through it, like the first layer, like I said, I was like, okay, I have the urge to like spin right now, which was weird. But then towards the end, feeling relaxed and then having another little bit kind of unwind, and I could feel the shudder in my breath when I would breathe out, like it was sticky. Almost is the best way I could describe that. But I was like, oh, that's something, So I've had a pretty tense couple of days. I think I needed that.
No, it's fantastic because this is you coming to understand you.
Yeah.
And you understanding that the breath is beginning the reprogramming.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why you want to swirl in the beginning, because your body's like, what are you doing? Wait, no. We're used to. This is the program you have in your autonomic nervous. What are you doing right now? No, don't do that. So the breath is helping you to reprogram the synaptic connections in your brain as well, because we're slowing everything down. The body's not used to that, especially if you're always in the sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's used to,
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, consciously, I have known for a while that I was uptight. Hunter's been there front and center as I've gone through this. I think I've calmed down quite a bit since a year ago. But it's been interesting because now I feel like if you had tried to do that with me last year, I don't think we would have got very far.
She would have sat here with her eyes open.
I would have been like, what do I need to make for dinner? Like, I would not, I don't think I would have been able to connect there because I just was so the whole time. But I do feel like where I'm at now, like I'm able to consciously be like, okay, I'm freaking out in this situation right now. And like, I might be able to like slow it down or get out of it sooner, like with my logic in my brain, and be like, okay, you're triggered. You're upset, you're frustrated, you're feeling unheard, you're feeling these things, but like, okay, calm down, come back, like, this is this, like, don't go into this blaming space, like, you're responsible for this part, like, this part may be on someone else, and like, two things can be true at once, so now we don't need to sit in the panic of it, we need to find a solution, okay? Yes. But it's like, I want to get to a point where the physical, like, response doesn't happen. My heart doesn't shoot out of my ears because I'm so anxious. And I know that comes with time, but I do feel like this is a piece that, like, I think is getting more traction, more. People are learning about breathwork more. They're hearing about it more. It doesn't get quite as poo-pooed as it used to be, but it's just, was a good reminder for me that this physical part, this is part of it, like the yoga, the meditation, the practice, that I'm not going to get any progress if I don't buckle down. And even if I start somewhere, or if it's a YouTube video, that it's progress, and like sometimes I feel like maybe, everything happens for a reason, I love that phrase, but like things come to you in the right sequential order when you're ready for them. And if they don't, if they come around and you're not ready for it, it'll come back around, and I don't know. It was a good energy, good vibe. And I'm grateful that you're here today because it was just a really good solidifying, like, yes, this is what you're missing in this. This is next step.
First of all, I want to give you, like, all kind of praise for your last year journey.
Thank you.
Just so that the fact that you've come to a point where you can see what you're doing,
Mhm.
that's a huge step. Awareness is the first thing.
Mhm.
You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza says all the time, you have to change to change.
Yes.
Like you have to do something different if you want to create a new you.
Mhm.
And you already started the process, because like you said, a year ago, you wouldn't have been able to accept that
Yeah.
because your subconscious programming is the controller.
Mhm.
You can consciously sit here and say, okay, I'm not going to smoke anymore.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, you've been smoking all this time, and the body is now the reality. The body's like, no, I'm in control, because your subconscious is like, it is. You have programmed me so well to smoke that you can say it all day long, but you're going to smoke tomorrow, or you're going to smoke the next day. You know, it's that constant like drilling, going back and forth with your mind, which is what you've been doing, saying, okay, I don't have to be upset. And eventually, as you keep practicing the breath, it's so important, you will get to a point where you don't have those butterflies anymore. And you don't even have that, because you're reprogramming. You know, you've reprogrammed, you've changed who you are, you created the new you. That's what Joe Dispenza does in his when his retreats, and when you go, you know, on his trainings, people are creating new humans. They're becoming new through all the breath and the meditation and the things that they're doing, because you're literally connecting with that energy that's stored in your subconscious, and you're changing that.
Yeah.
So that's what the breath does. That's what it's done for me. You know, I'm totally different. I hear people say things, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. You're upset, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you can't get me upset, because I'm not programmed like that anymore.
I want to be that so bad.
Yeah. I'm just not programmed. And yeah, I can sit here and go, oh yeah, you know, they're crazy, but I don't have that internal feeling anymore. You know how, you know, when someone really
my emotions are very visceral, and I feel them in my body. Like, I'm not just mad, I'm like shaking, screaming, want to rip, and like, and or like I'm so anxious, I'm physically shaking, like, you know, so I don't want to be that anymore. I want to be like you.
Yeah. And it's really just it's been years and years of me just sitting with myself and my breath. Like really saying to yourself, like, hey, Nadyne, you're upset right now. And so I will sit into the sensations and the feelings of being upset, and I will breathe through them until the sensations go away.
Yeah.
This is what I would do with myself. I still do. You know, if I have any type, but I don't even, I asked my friend the other day, I'm like, is something wrong with me? Because I don't get those sensations.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you've just practiced so much where, you know, I may even look like I'm upset, but I don't feel it. You know, I mean, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just did that. But I'm not going, oh my God.
You can walk away from it.
See.
Yeah.
I'm envious. Aspire to be
but
like that.
It's been, you know, I started this journey when I went to UCLA in 2006. So it's been from 2006 to now. What is that? What? 8 years? No.
2006? That's 18 years.
Yeah.
But
2006 was 8 years ago. Now that you're nice and calm, you'll believe me.
Right. Now that we've
now that that's
calmed your subconscious, we can reprogram
now that
it.
that's out of the way.
And how did you feel?
I just felt like a Cadbury egg. It felt like I could completely feel relaxed and not have a barrier up. And when you said feel your heart, I almost, like, without even wanting to think of it this way, my brain automatically had like an ice pick, like chipping away.
Oh, wow.
Something at my heart.
Wow.
Okay.
So that was, it was like, you're cold. You need to
warm up.
Warm up.
Huh.
And so I'm still a little processing. I'm in the processing phase right now of how that felt. Because I'm hot now.
Mm-hmm.
like I feel very relaxed. By the end of it, my heart felt beating. It didn't feel like it was trying to beat while it was encapsulated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good.
We have a whole
That's a good
bunch
visual. Yeah.
I'm a visual person.
Well,
but
obvi.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
Hunter, that was really good. Wow.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you guys that's all we have is the breath. So let's develop a beautiful relationship with it. You know, let's not have it control us. You know, let's take our power back from it. You know, we are in a society that's just filled with so much go, and everything's really fast. I was looking at something that even said, stop looking at so many shorts, you know, because they're just making the brain.
And the attention span.
So, yeah, look at things that are longer now, 10 minutes, something where you have to really focus in and concentrate on a little bit, because that just gives it a little more ease, you know. So, yeah, whenever you can, especially when you're feeling those emotions, begin to breathe and really breathe. If you have the time, breathe until it goes away. But it would be nice to just settle into it so you can see how it feels at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you will actually begin to feel your body easing, like I saw his body just kind of settle in, and the emotions will settle. It's so fascinating to actually practice and experience it on your own, because I remember when I first started, I was like, whoa. I felt them like leaving my body.
Yeah.
The energy of it. You know?
I definitely feel like I've got deeper to go. Like,
we all do.
I was still kind of I think my normal is just pretty uptight anyway. So I definitely could feel that. Like, I loosened quite a bit. But like I said, even towards the end, I could still feel those, like, shudders in my exit breath. And so I'm like, I know I'm not fully relaxed, but it was great. It was a good start, I feel like.
It was a great start.
I could like visually in my brain have a picture of like what you were saying, and like the warm and the light, and there was some speed bumps along the way, but like we'll get there. It was like clearing it out. So I just thought it was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, you said we're focusing on things that take a little bit longer, things that make your brain work a little bit better, maybe such as reading a book.
Ooh.
So we mentioned in the beginning, Nadyne is a published author, has written an incredible book called Through Eyes That See, which is a coming of age story. And I feel that anyone that has a child,
yeah,
if you have a kid, if you don't have a kid, if you have a cousin, if you have a brother, if you have a sister,
if you were a kid,
if you're a human being,
if you're a human, it is a must read.
Yeah.
You said, you know, everything happens for a reason. Just before you walked in the door, Erica and I were talking about the book, and I said, this book needs to be a movie. And one of the first things that you said whenever you came in this room was, I've talked to the people and maybe
it could possibly
this could happen, and it is already in the universe that this is happening. So I'm excited to talk about your book. Let's take another quick break to reset.
We'll re-switch.
And give yourself the grace and the space to grow. Because in the beginning, I didn't understand any of it. I'm just listening to it, and you know, I'm thinking I know, and I'm like, and I'm thinking about other people. I'm like, oh, this is for them. No, Nadyne, it's actually for you, but you're not there. You're not there yet. Now I know that when I'm listening to things, this is for me. And in my head, I'll think, oh, I need to send this to my friend. No, Nadyne, actually, you need to listen. Because you're sitting over here trying to help thinking it's for this person and that person, and it's really for me. And just remember, life is a moment by moment experience. Yeah. So as we grow and as we evolve and as we expand, then our understanding comes in, and we understand differently. We hear differently. We see differently. We perceive differently. So, yeah, give yourself a break on all of that. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you were listening.
I was.
You understand? Like, it was on. there could have been some other music that was on that you were listening to, but you
Always.
were listening to that instead. You were listening to Joe and to, so it was calling you. You were being led. So yeah, always give yourself some space, because first of all, there's no perfection and there's no ending to this. Like, I'm going to constantly be growing. First of all, because I choose to. I don't want to be stagnant.
Yeah.
I want to constantly learn and grow and, prune and have the pruning of sections of my brain that I don't want, but I really want to try to use as much as my brain as possible, which means I have to keep learning.
Yeah.
Growing, doing new things, creating a new route to work, not going to the same job all the time. I understand now my past, because I would get bored, I guess. I'm like, even if it was a TV show, I'm like, I can only last but so many years of doing the same sort of thing. Now I realize, Nadyne just needed something new. Like, I'm expanding. I need to try something different, something new. And I was never one that fear kept me from jumping. I wasn't the one. I would just jump and see where I landed, So this is good that you're doing some new things. This is good.
We're trying.
You're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready to talk book?
Let's talk about this book.
Ooh, the book.
Girl.
The book.
The book.
First of all, I want to say thank you for actually reading it.
Yeah.
It's been a long journey, published in 2011, rewritten in 2020, came back out in 2021. So, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for writing it.
Yeah, thank you for writing it. Once again, I had to stop and text Nadyne right towards the end of the book, and I had just said, I feel seen. My eyes see what you're trying to say. But a question that has been on my mind since I got probably halfway through the book is, why did you choose to share such a painful story to you? That, like, not necessarily why, or how did you find the courage to share these deeply personal experiences that you've had? There's the question.
That is the question. How did I find the courage? Wow, that's actually a good question, because as we were talking earlier, I was saying how DARCY took over as I was writing it. I knew I wanted it to be a novel, and I knew I wanted it to be in first person, and I knew I wanted my story to be deeply entwined in it, but she actually made it easier for me to keep going through it. Like, it was, and it wasn't like she was whispering. She just took over. There were many times that I would write 4 hours a day, and I had a specific time that I would write, and in the morning I would go over like the last little bit of what I wrote the day before. So I'd read like maybe the last page or whatever, and I remember a few times reading, going, "Who wrote this?" And I can't put it out. It's going to hurt too many people in my family. How do I change things up so that it's not so honest? And she was just like, no. Like, I would talk to her sometimes, like, girl, I don't know, we can do this. And she was like, yes, you can. And yes, you will. And you will continue.
And yes, you have.
Yeah.
And yes, you have. And it's so interesting because I didn't have like a beginning, middle, and end. I knew my story, but it was still so challenging for me to put it down on paper that I needed this fantastical, light, curious kid to come in and help me with her little sprinkles of magic in it. Because, yeah, there's no way I would have just written my story.
Right.
Right.
You know.
So you said it's very closely based on your story. So would you say that Darcy is like, how much of Darcy is you and how much of her is what you needed at the time?
That is a good question. I'm going to say that Darcy as a child and me as a child, Darcy is brave and more curious. I was told this is how it is, and I just ate it up like this is the truth. Darcy was more like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. Well, if that is the truth, if it happened like this, then that means then we had this A, B, and C. And me, I'm just like, no, everything you tell me is the truth. I didn't really question much. So she, as a child, had more curiosity as far as what she was being told. Now, I could see the hypocrisy, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like when, as a child, Nadyne saw right and wrong, or saw that they were telling me one thing
But you were seeing it.
and seeing something else. But I never questioned the philosophies and the belief systems that I was being raised in.
Until you were older.
Until I was older. It was more like, oh, they're just evil people. You know how it's easy to judge from, and then now that I understand that everyone has a beginning and an ending and a middle story, and I know that the beginning has such a big part on what they become, because I understand the brain name.
Yeah.
The brain now, I understand when we come into this world, we're in theta, which is hypnosis and imagination. So if I'm hypnotized and my brain is absorbing what I eat, what you tell me, what you're doing, I'm processing all this, and everything around me is creating this energy for me to begin my life. I now understand that everybody that I meet had something in the beginning that helped them create who they are right now. So I have more compassion now. I'm not as judgmental from when I was younger, so now I can sit and go, oh, okay, they just had a different entry than I did. And so she was truly brave. I'm still getting my courage up. I think if I were Darcy sitting here, I'd be, wow, 'Cause she had a lot of questions, and she questioned God, and she questioned the bigger picture, and I would have never. I was more, oh, this is happening to me, and begging for help. Darcy was like, no, this is what I see. She wasn't really begging like I was.
She was going to change it herself.
Yeah, she had this power in her. Well, maybe that's what I'm pulling from now as I grow older. I'm pulling into my power.
Well, and that's something that was actually one of my questions that I had written down is Darcy someone that you wish you were when you were a kid? Do you wish you had that bravery and that outspokenness as a kid?
I never thought of it like that, because I just feel like she's her. But I'm taking on that now. I never look back and I try not to and say, oh, I wish I was this, I wish I was that, because it all brought me to this. But now I know who I can become. She to me was a blueprint on how I can become powerful and how I can stand up and how I can create boundaries and say, no, you're not going beyond this, or, and how I can look at things now and say, oh, that person's probably an abuser, because I've learned from being in that environment what to look for, how they treat people or how obsessive they are. Just little things that I learned as Nadyne, looking at this picture that's happening around me. But yeah, she definitely inspires me to like walk straighter and just say, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can be you.
Is there anything that you could picture if this were adapted into a movie or a mini series? What are things that you picture adding, or could you see the story expanding past where
What
it
it is
ended,
now.
which is a bombshell, everyone?
Oof.
Can you see it expanding past that and seeing into the lives of the family?
Yes, it's so interesting because the first person that had edited, she said, first of all, I just want you to know, like, I was shocked as to how well you're a good writer. Like, you told a story. Can you change the ending? And I went into this whole thing, like, trying, and I was like, okay, if I did, it would have to be maybe 100 more pages. And when I was at UCLA, I took a seminar class, and it was, we were studying women who were from the Caribbean who had written novels that were coming of age.
Okay.
And I noticed it like halfway through. I was like, oh my God, this is like the kind of book I want to write. And I also noticed, this was back then in the day, that most of the books were under 200 pages. So I had an idea as to like how long I wanted the book. And so I was like, oh my God, if I were to try to depict everything that kept going, I'm going to need at least 100 more pages to really tap into the meat of the story and what I want for Lily, the character of the mother, and where would Wilder go. And so
She's
tried.
like, there's at least 2 more seasons in here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it could definitely go on. But for the book, it needed to be what it is.
There's power in that.
Yes. And I also experienced it at a very young age with someone who was in my youth group at church. So it was very real to me, you know. So, and I went through an episode. So, to not give away, but yeah, it was something that, and also Darcy told me basically, like, this is it. This is how we're going to end this book. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was so interesting because of just how it progressed with the ending. I was like, Darcy, this is pretty cool.
I love it. I love that you're talking to her.
Yeah. The ending is just very powerful.
Well, I'm not all the way there yet. I hate that. I wish I had
That's
gotten
okay.
it finished.
We'll be talking about it.
I just have to, for me, the thing that, and I don't know if this was intentional or if anyone's told you this before, but you don't know me or my story, but there, like I said to you earlier, there were parts in there where I was like, I could see from Darcy's point of view. And then there were parts in there where I was watching her talk about her mom and what her mom was going through with Wilder and how she was just blindsided and like she was just so caught up. Like, I'm very guilty. I've been there. I've been the mom in that situation. You know what I mean? Where you're just caught up, and no, it wasn't a religious factor, but there were other factors. And then it's like once it's done, you realize almost immediately it's too late. And now you've got to try to convince yourself that you didn't just blow up your entire life and that you're going to get through this. And so you put on the facade and you this and you that. I also have a teenage son who didn't like some of these situations. But so I could not necessarily identify, but it gave me an insight into like, you know, some of the things my son has said to me. And, you know, it's like, I know consciously that I am still trying to work through my shit from childhood. And unfortunately, I didn't get that shit worked out before my child had a childhood. And then I also know that when he's an adult, there will be more compassion and understanding for these things, but we're not there yet. We're right in the middle of it when he's very angry and blaming, and rightfully so, right? So when I say that I identify, like at any point in that book and any character in the book, I feel like there was something that I took from it that hit me at a very deep personal level, one way or the other. So,
well, and I think there's a little bit of that in every character, that even though you might hate Wilder at times, you can see yourself in Wilder. And even though you're so mad at Lily at times and like, open your eyes, you've been Lily before. Everyone has been Lily. Everyone has been a little bit of Wilder. Everyone has had a friend like Darcy or Angel or your cousin. Like, you can relate to every single person in this story. And I
agree.
I'm going to read it again. Now that I have a physical copy, I want to highlight. I want to take notes and like, yes.
There was the first thing I highlighted in the book that just, because it hit me. And I mean, I don't know, like, again, I didn't finish it. I don't know how the reality of these characters worked out. But there was something that when you were getting ready to go to LA, or Darcy is getting ready to go to LA, that she was like crying with her dad and she said, "I'm sorry." And he said, "Don't ever say that again. Sorry means like deplorable or bad, and you are not that." And I say I'm sorry way too much. And I just was like, I'm gonna remember that, and every time I say I'm sorry, I'm gonna tell myself like, you are not deplorable or whatever. You don't have to say, you don't have to be sorry. You are not sorry. My ex-boyfriend used to tell, and when I say I'm sorry, he'd say, yeah, you are sorry. You're sorry. You're a sorry human being. So it's like, I'm going to replace it with that. That was something powerful.
Yeah.
So it got a highlighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So.
There's a difference between apologies and saying I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I'll try to make it I apologize from now on. I'm sorry.
I apologize, or can you forgive me? Or, I stopped saying sorry years ago. It just, it's just what I'm saying. I am sorry.
Well, and that's another thing that it's like your words are words. They call it spelling for a reason. Like you're putting this out
so
for
good.
a reason. Or like the words mean something beyond what they might actually, like the sentence you're saying.
Yes, I love what you just said. Yes.
Well, and it's like, it's true, and you can learn all this stuff, but then it's like setting it into habits and your daily life is a whole nother
It's just a reprogramming.
Yeah.
We're trying to get back to the theta brainwave where we have that imagination and that hypnosis, and we become something new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the breath is helping me do, to get to that brainwave pattern and to soften and to settle into this new creation called me. And that is a constant.
Yes, I love
That's going to be happening until I take my last breath. So let's create this beautiful connection with it and begin to create this newness inside of us. And then after that, it'll be more newness and more newness and more, because we're taking all these other beautiful breaths, So it's just been a ride from hair to breath, yoga to writing. It's just been like this beautiful journey, and I'm understanding that life is ebb and flow, up and down. So how do I breathe through it? That's, at the end of the day, that's all it is. Like, how am I breathing through this down right now? Am I pivoting my thoughts?
Goosebumps.
Am I pivoting my thoughts so that it's not consuming me, taking over me? I'm not in, there is no danger, no imminent danger, Nadyne.
Hunter's seen me go into that where I shake like from my
It's like she needs to be
shaking.
held down to the ground.
Well, I think it was a Joe Dispenza video I saw it on where somebody was talking about like an animal when they are chased by a lion, a wildebeest, an antelope, whatever, and they get away. They go and they shake.
They shake it off.
And they shake it out because they have to shake out that hectic energy. And even the other day, I had a pretty stressful event happen, and my mom was like, you need to go work out and like move that energy out of you. And I did not. And I woke up the next morning incredibly sore and like every breath was like
Hyperventilating.
high. Yeah, it was like each breath was hard. I just couldn't get it, you know? So I did end up going outside and going on like a quick 15, 20-minute walk and like try to move some of that out of me. But it was stuck
Yep.
in my body because if you don't get
You
it
have
out
to.
somehow,
Yeah.
it becomes a part of you.
It is. It does. It starts the reprogramming. So the antelope or whatever that gets away goes and shakes it off. Within 15 minutes, goes right back to grazing. Nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
You know, because they're
no longer in danger.
Yeah, balancing their nervous system. But when we have such a huge frontal lobe and this big brain, and we can make our thoughts the danger, that's the issue.
Whoa.
That just stacked up in a major way for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely
Everything added up just
make
then.
my thoughts dangerous sometimes.
Yeah. The thoughts become the we start creating that emergency mode by thought alone.
Yeah.
And this is why, you know, I say, you know, it's a thought. You don't have to believe it's true. It's about, I call it the pivot, where I'm like, oh, Nadyne, you really just thought that? Okay, well, we're not going to give that any power. I talk to myself. Because otherwise I would be just as anxious as everybody else around me. And this is a reprogramming, which I think the whole world is going into with social media and with the kids understanding. Like my kids, I feel like deal with it so much better than I, and just have more of an understanding of the thoughts and reality and things like that. And you know, I know everybody's going through what they're going through, but at least the information is available. As a child, it wasn't available to me. I didn't know any of this stuff. I was just, whatever they told me, that was the truth.
How did you get to a place that you could love and have a conversation with your stepfather that put you in that position in the first place and not blame him any longer or forgive? How do you forgive?
It's so interesting because, you know, the conversation we had in the beginning, how being at that, you know, almost adult in the middle age, I saw so many good qualities of his, and then there were the bad. So it was this weird confusion of, like, do I love him? Do I hate him? Do I love him? It was, okay, I need to protect myself. I need to try to protect my mom. It was this very interesting thing. So when my mom finally divorced him, I didn't have hatred toward him, which was so weird. Like I never, once we got out of it, I didn't hate him. And I never had a conversation with him afterwards about it. Like, we just kind of split up. It was very strange how all of that went down. But it happened. And then as I got older, I started panning through all of it. You know, how I felt about him, how I felt about my mom, how I felt about our belief system, how everything started to kind of open up. The book put it down on paper, but the work has been since I wrote the book. There was so much I hadn't dealt with as the book was coming to fruition that in the last 10, 15, I've been working through. So the forgiveness is the letting go, to be the being into the ease of it, to understanding that that was just part of my past and part of my life experience, and that it's all not for naught. Like, it brought me here, and now you're this person now, Nadyne, and that it opened you up to learn this, and you attracted this person and that person. So it is about just letting it all go. For me, I've just let it all go. And like I said to you earlier, Joe Dispenza said, wisdom is when you can look back on your past with none of that emotional. So now I can go, okay, yeah, that did happen. Yeah, it sure did. And we got through it, and I processed through it, and I'm not mad at anybody. And it's so interesting when the anger, when those little feelings come up, it'll be a memory. You know, I'll have a memory and I'll remember that somebody did this or I did that to somebody. And I'm just like, ooh. And then I'll breathe through it and go, okay, that was something that needed to come up. Now let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Shaman Derek says, let it go, get it into a boat and bye-bye down the river. Let it, you know, so I can't keep all of these old attachments because then I'm living in the past and I want my present to be amazing. I want each moment, I want to feel it. I want to breathe through it. I want to experience it. I don't want it to be my past. I can't change that. So I want this moment to be full of this. You know, I want to feel this and be involved in this and not be like, oh, God, you know, I'm mad right now because I went through this and that. So I can't even take in what we're doing right now because my subconscious is still living back there.
The way I'm so grateful to have met you and read this book, like, it's funny because I think everyone has shit from their past, and it's normal to, like, oh, I was hurt in this situation. That's how we survive. It's like survival. And so we're like, oh, that situation looks the same. I'm going to do that. And you hold on to these things because they're lessons learned that you use to protect yourself. But I'm like, I'm 38. A lot of this was like you going back to school, like in your 30s. Like so much of this, there's a piece that speaks to my soul, like on a really deep level. But it's funny because lately, part of it is I'm like, I don't think any of us really even, there are, I think, select few maybe who learn it sooner. But I feel like it's not abnormal or wrong in any way that a lot of us go through, like almost this second coming in this mid-age where it's like you realize how that stuff you took on isn't serving you. You either do or you don't, I guess, right? Some people do, some people don't. But you have this choice in this moment where you can, yes, I screwed up here. Yes, I did this. Yes, I regret that. Yes, that was bad. That happened to me. But if I keep holding on to this stuff, I'm going to stay here. And I'm never going to reach, like, who I'm supposed to be or be happy or whatever it is that your soul is calling you to be. And I feel like I'm grateful for the story because in your story, it made me realize that, like, I'm not alone in that. I know I'm sure Hunter's heard me say it 1,000 times. I'm so far behind. I'm not where I should be. I thought I should be farther. You know what I mean? Like, I'm too old to be here. Like, all these things, you know? And so, like, and a lot of it is, I'm like, have been weighed down by the weight of things, I think, from your past. And I don't want to anymore. I want to let go of that. But it is nice to kind of come around to this after all this conversation. And like, you're not the only one. A lot of people go through it. And that it doesn't mean you're behind. It just means this is the chapter. It is what it is, and you can stress about what it was, or you can look towards making it what it can be.
Yes.
So
yes, you're writing a story as we go.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Your book is just going to be a little longer.
yeah.
Maybe 100 pages longer.
Yeah, maybe
Who knows?
Maybe 100 pages, and we just continue to write.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's okay. A writer really writing is rewriting.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the first draft down is like, okay, good, I got the first draft down. But when you start reading, you go back and you erase and you're cutting it out, you're cutting, pasting, and then if you read it again, then you're rewriting. Like, that's, so you just keep rewriting. You just keep rewriting. Okay, yeah, that's a story I wrote back then. Now I have some new information, some new words, some new tools. I have a new pen. The color is red now, and I can write it this way. Or I have a green pen. I'm going to write it with this color. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so as we live life, we're just writing. We're just writing. And if we have been so blessed to be able to look back and know that we don't have to live there, you know, if we do have the tools to reprogram and to breathe through and to know that I can create a new me, then we can actually begin to write new chapters, new stories. And that's the beautiful part. That's where you are now. you're just rewriting because you're looking back going, okay, I don't want to, I'm not
We're
going to be
editing
that.
right now.
Yeah.
We're editing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which the edit creates a new story, a new part of the story, a new feeling in the story. Because it's not really necessarily a brand new story you're writing, but you feel differently because you edit that one word out. It's like, yeah, it's clearer now. It becomes clearer. Yes, the more you go back and rewrite, this sense of clarity that's exactly what I wanted to say and how to say it. That's what you're doing. That's what we're all doing right now. That's what this podcast is doing.
Right.
Like,
Yes, it is. I like the way I'm an analogy guy.
Me too.
The longer you write on it, the more you revisit that, the clearer it becomes. You have to revisit it. You have to gain clarity on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, go to a Joe Dispenza seminar and just have it pulled out where your body doesn't even remember anymore.
Right. I was just on his website looking at
miracles and magic happening all around us. So there's so many different paths we can take. I just love it. I was listening to him here on the way here, and what I love about how he speaks is it's just this acceptance. Like meeting people exactly where they are and then making them feel comfortable in it, which I feel is such a unique trait. So it wasn't any because the guy that was interviewing him was saying like, well, but isn't that part of your gene pool? And he was like, yeah, it is your genes, but you can express your genes differently. Like we can. So it's still giving that comfort, but like, yeah, you said something a very poignant point, but we can also do it this way, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're still growing. It's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, you're in a good path. Like something new is coming of this. A new you. A revision. We're all revising.
I hope so because I'm working on it.
Girl, you about to get a new cover.
New skins.
All right.
New,
I think that we could continue this episode
I know.
all day long, but if we don't cut it off, we're at 2
gonna
hours.
lose the other camera.
Yeah.
So
one of the cameras already went out.
right? Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Oh my
you.
God. Thank you guys for having me. Thank Camille for Hair Scholars.
Yes.
That put you in that group because who knew? Who knew?
No,
Yeah.
I know. Totally.
Months later that you would reach out. So yeah, I'm so grateful. So grateful. And thank you guys from the bottom and top of my heart for reading the book.
Yeah. Thank you for writing it.
It has been sitting for years. Oh, you know what? We need to let them know.
Oh.
So this, Amazon's all messed up. This is the old book, guys. Old, new.
Ew.
This is the one you want. This one. If they're sending you this, send it back. I mean, or I guess you could read it.
I
You
mean,
can
it's
read it. It's
vintage
still
at this
good.
point.
Yeah, really. But
It's going to be
It's
worth
vintage.
something one
Yeah.
day.
Well, the edits, it's definitely whatever. It's all good.
The new book is
It's all good. And it's edited, and we caught a lot of, mistakes that we didn't catch in that one, but it's all good. It's the same
haven't
lesson.
gotten
Same lesson. Yeah. Same
Where can they find the book?
lesson. Barnes and Nobles, Walmart. You can download it on iTunes, Audibles, Amazon. The soft copy will be on Amazon eventually, but what else?
The Kindle version. I was going to say the Kindle version is
Amazon,
amazing. You can
yeah.
highlight in there. You can annotate. You can all the things.
Yeah. So it's Kindle, and then I put it on audio in 2021. Yeah.
And it is her voice reading it,
I
you
was going
guys.
to say,
so
now that I know it's on
Yeah.
audio, if I had known that, I would have got the audiobook.
I tell you one thing, that was an experience. You talking about stepping into a new?
Yeah.
oh, those sound boxes are insane. It's like a whole different level of hearing yourself with that clarity.
When he sent the first draft and I was listening, I'm like, oh, we have to redo this whole thing. And he's
Trying
like,
to listen to your own voice.
he was like, absolutely not. He was like, I'm telling you, we're going to edit and your voice is fine. I'm like, oh, my voice. And he's like, nope. And it worked. Like, I've had a couple of my younger cousins in their 30s that actually listened, and They call me up. Oh my God, I didn't know you could write. Oh, okay. Is this character so and so? Is this is that my dad? Is it? And I'm like, yeah.
It
So,
sure
yeah,
is.
it's been very interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, how can they find you and work with you with your breath work?
So my website is breatheandsoar.com, and you can go and get the information about the breathing. Find me on Instagram, Breathe and Soar, on YouTube, Breathe and Soar, on TikTok, Breathe and Soar. Exactly the way it's spelled. So yeah, I'm out there. Breathe and Soar.
Breathing and soaring, baby.
Find me. Let's breathe.
I love it.
Let's breathe.
Oh, and also about the books. Like if you get a group, 10, 15 people, I'll do a book and breathe. So yeah, read the book, get a group. Let's talk about the book. And then we'll have a breath session on me for buying the book. You know,
love it.
So virtually or however we'll figure it out.
Well, and then locally, you are located
I'm in Georgia.
In Georgia. So
and
if
Tennessee is close.
Yeah.
So
yes, so
loving
Georgia, Tennessee,
that.
Arkansas, I guess is close
Right.
too. Hit her up.
Arkansas.
She's not a far drive.
Let's go.
Let's
I love
go.
it. I know.
If you want to follow us on all of our social media journeys, I'm Hicks Hunter on all the things.
I am Erica the Redhead on all the things.
Our podcast is at Break Room Banter Pod on all the things. And if you want to find an additional way to support us, you can log on to Patreon at www.patreon.com/Break Room Banter Pod and subscribe. Make sure you're following on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere else you get your podcasts. And until next time, remember,
You always have a seat at our table.
bye.